Okay, so let's start with warm-up. So this is the warm-up that I sent to you with those workouts.
Yes.
Okay. So if you start with your feet hip distance, just relax your arms by your sides. And then we're going to start with some shoulder blade rolls. So hitching your shoulder blades up towards your ears, squeezing your shoulder blades behind you, allowing them to drop, and then coming forward, up, squeezing and dropping. So in terms of your shoulder girdle, it's just massaging your shoulder blades on the back of your rib cage. But it's also mobilizing into your sternoclavicular joints and your acromioclavicular joints. So you've got 3 joints actually being mobilized by this simple little shoulder blade roll. And then if you bring your fingertips to your shoulders and then draw nice circles with your elbows. Now we're working into the true shoulder joint. Think about bringing your elbows as close as you can comfortably come at the front, and then reach your elbows all the way up to the ceiling. And then squeeze your elbows back behind you. So nice big range of movement into those shoulder joints. Looking for any clunking or clicking, just lubricating things. Then bring your hands into a prayer position and just bring your thumbs to your breastbone. Grow nice and tall, take a breath in, and as you exhale, rotate your chest to one direction, inhale back to center, and then exhale, rotating in the other direction. Think about your hips having headlights on them, and those headlights are pointing forwards. Just starts to bring an awareness to your core. So gently drawing in through your low tummy muscles and a light lift of your pelvic floor. So if you can feel this in your your rib cage, then that's great. That's where we're supposed to be feeling this. If we have good mobility in our rib cage, in our rib joints, it's better for our breathing. Come back to center, relax your arms down, reach one arm up, and come into a side bend stretch. Grow nice and tall and then change. Breathe in, breathe out, and slide your hand down the outside of your thigh as you reach your arm above your head. Try not to lean forwards or backwards, and perhaps just tuck the tailbone down very slightly towards your heels. Again, to get those core muscles engaging, just gently. And we're stretching through our waist muscles. Bring your hands to your hips and perhaps step your feet slightly further apart and just draw some nice big circles with your pelvis. So if you imagine you're standing inside a hula hoop and you're just trying to touch the inside of the hoop. And you can almost feel your heads of femur rotating in the pelvis and the sockets. Let's reverse. Okay, bring your feet back underneath your hips. Reach your fingertips up to the ceiling. As you lower your arms, bend your knees and swoop your hands behind you. When your hands are behind you, just come into a little leg extension and find a nice little hamstring stretch. Then bend your knees and bring your hands back up. So bend and straighten the legs, and then bend and reach. When you bring the arms behind you, try and keep your chest forward so you're not rounding your upper body. And just to be aware of a slight stretch down the backs of the legs. So we're warming up into our hips and knees now. Perhaps feel the work in your thighs and your hamstrings. Lovely, okay. And then bring your hands onto your hips. Lift your heels and drop one heel at a time. So this is called your walking series. So it's as though you're walking on the spot. Press into that big toe, second toe. So pressing the fronts of your ankles forward and lifting the heels, mobilizing your toe joints. Okay, and hope that's me, it's my floorboard squeaking away. Okay, so hopefully we've kind of covered most things now for a little warm up. So what we're going to do is start with some leg work. If you bring yourself into standing with your band on, you can pop your feet into your loop band and bring the loop band just to your outer thighs. Okay. Just have your feet very slightly wider. Now these are tough back. Do you want the purple one? Do you want a purple one?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Mary. Okay, thank you. Going to press out into your band as you come into a little squat. And then stand. And squat. And stand. So a little bit of pressure out. And then sitting back. So keeping the knees back away from the toes, think about reaching your bottom to the wall behind you. Again, you're drawing your tummy muscles in and lifting through the pelvic floor. Shoulder blades down and slightly squeezing together behind you, keeping your chin drawing in. Hopefully feeling the work in your legs and perhaps into your bottom. Okay. Let's do a couple more. All right. And then just give your hips a little circle. Super. The next one we're going to come into is a tap out to the side and back. So you come into a squat position. Think about getting your weight into your heels, your chest forward, and then just tapping your weight, keeping your weight in one leg as you tap out, step back, take the weight into the other leg, and then step out. So going from one side to the other. So just pressing into your band. Again, we're strengthening the legs and bottom muscles. But have that awareness of what your spine is doing. So try and keep your spine nice and straight. Don't round into your upper back at all. Chest forward, shoulder blades down, and a light squeeze of your shoulder blades together. Chin in. And then come up. Whew. Get those legs. And then just have a little circle there. Okay, so again, we're coming down into this squat position. We're just going to walk sideways. And then back the other way. Try and stay low. Imagine the ceilings come down on top of your head. So that keeps you in this bed, right? Keeps you in this bent knee position. Hopefully again now, a bit of endurance work into those bottom and leg muscles.
It's amazing how strong
it is. Ooh, it's a nice little burn. All right, let's do one more each way. Horse riding days.
Didn't realise how short I was.
All right, well done. Let's just slip your band on. Just pop it to the side, and again, perhaps do some little hip circles, just to loosen your hips off. All right, we're going to make our way onto the mat. So come down, have your ball handy. The first exercise we're going to do is your 100. So set yourself up with your feet in line with your pelvis in its neutral position, so pubic bone, hip bones in line. Tuck your shoulder blades under and rest the back of your head. Bring your right leg into tabletop, brace your tummy muscles, bring your left leg into tabletop, and start to pulse your arms, breathing in for 5, breathing out for 5. You can stay here, or we can lift your head, neck, and chest as you pulse so you can come into abdo prep looking between your legs. So try and count your own hundreds. In standing, hundreds, we come into a squat position and we pulse the arms here. So you draw your tummy muscles in, squeeze your shoulder blades together and just draw your chin in. So think about your posture. You can take a little bit more weight into your left leg if you wish, and then take a little bit of weight into your right leg. So when you, on your back, have counted your hundreds, you're counting?
No.
No? So counting your hundreds, you counting, Mary? Okay, she stopped. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Just do a gentle rock from side to side. Okay, so what we're going to do is place your ball, if you wish, you don't have to, if you've got a ball handy, just lift your hips and place your ball underneath your pelvis. Arms by your side, bring your legs one at a time into tabletop and take a breath in. You reach your right leg away, inhale back, exhale left leg, inhale back. So we're just going from one side to the other. And as the ball is unstable, you may want to challenge your balance and lift your arms. Now you're very welcome to come into double time at any point if you wish to, or just stay at single. If you can't feel your tummy muscles working, just lift the ball a little bit higher. So you're trying to fully straighten your legs if you can, feeling the work in your quadricep muscles. So this exercise in standing, you just bring one leg into tabletop and reach it forwards and backwards. So you do perhaps 8 to 10 on one side, and then the other side. Okay, so try and get those legs fully extended if you can, but if you're deliberately keeping them slightly bent, that's better, to protect your tummy or your back or your knees, then that's fine. But the aim is to try and get those legs as straight as you can. Okay, when you are ready to have a rest, hug your knees in towards your chest. Bring your legs down one at a time and lift your hips. Come roll onto your side and bring the ball a little bit higher. So it's just coming slightly lower than your shoulder blades, and then bring your hands together behind you. You can do this with your knees bent, or you can have your legs straight. So you might want to try a little bit of both. You're going to lower your upper body towards the floor. And when you come up, you're going to bring your left shoulder blade across towards your right hip. Lowering back down, right shoulder blade towards your left hip. So coming into this upper back extension is a safe way if you have any osteoporosis or concerned about osteoporosis or osteopenia. We're not coming into too much spinal flexion, but we're adding a little twist. So we're trying to get the obliques working, which are the muscles at the sides of the body. Similar thing can be done in standing. Just lift one leg and rotate towards that leg. So if you have your ball a little bit lower, yeah, that's it. So if you can't feel your tummy muscles working, you need to put your ball a little bit lower. If it's too much strain into your tummy muscles, then put the ball a little bit higher. Just moving the ball, even a millimetre or two, can make quite a big difference. So don't move it too much in one go. So hopefully you're feeling a little bit of work into these waist muscles here. When you're ready for a stretch back, you can stretch your upper body, rest your head, depending on the size of the ball. If not, you can remove the ball and just have your knees towards your chest. Okay, so let's remove the ball now. Going to come back into using the loop bands. So bring your band back over your legs for your shoulder bridge. Don't put your band on if you're doing standing exercises. I've got something else for you to do. Bring your heels in towards your bottom. Arms resting by your sides. Press wide into the band and release a few times just to get those bottom muscles firing. And see if we can just find that pelvic floor and low tummy muscle lift. And then press wide into the band and lift your hips up. Keep pressing wide into the band as you lower your hips. So lifting, squeezing those glutes and lowering. Keeping the knees as wide as you can against your bands. Okay, so in standing, we're going to come up tall, lift the leg out to the side. Try to work your glutes in that way. So shoulder bridge will work your hamstrings, possibly into your low back. It'll work into your inner thighs. Have a little rest, hug your knees in towards your chest and just gently rock side to side. We're going to come back into your shoulder bridge. Lift your hips back up and keep them there. And then just drop one hip and then the other hip. So our hip dips, your knees stay still, knees pointing up to the ceiling. And then we just drop one hip at a time, feeling the release and clench of that buttock. Soften the rib cage down and try and get those hips as high as you can and work from there. When you are ready for a rest, hug your knees in towards your chest. So in standing, we can then come into a one-leg circle, just circling, making small circles with your leg from your hip joint, keeping your pelvis nice and still. Back into your shoulder bridge, bring your heels in, bring your hips up, and small pulses. So press out into your band and just do some small little pulses up and down with the pelvis. So keep pressing wide into the band, that's it, and then little releases of the glutes. So keep pressing wide, hold that, and then just the pelvis lifts and lowers, that's it. So squeezing those glutes. Then coming on to the other side, if you're in standing. Okay, when you're ready for a rest, your hamstring it. You remove your bands then. Okay, so come lie on your front. Stay in standing if you're in standing. Arms are by your sides, your forehead is resting on your mat. Your legs are out behind you in parallel. Little bit of pressure into your pubic bone. Lift you and hover your arms just an inch off the floor. Draw your shoulder blades down towards your waist. Reach your fingertips to the floor. As you take a breath in, press your pubic bone into the floor and then exhale. Lift your head, neck and chest. And if you wish to, add the legs. Inhale to lower, exhale to lift. Don't lift too high. Think about lengthening along your mat, reaching your head and your toes in the opposite direction. So finding length in your neck, shoulders down away from your ears, and then fingertips reaching to the floor. And we can do the same in standing. Little back bend as you reach your fingertips. Perhaps slide your fingertips down the backs of your thighs, opening your chest. So think about length in the back of your neck. So keep that sort of distance, that sort of satsuma distance between your chin and your chest. Shoulder blades are down. Perfect. Lovely. And then just have a little rest. So just lower yourselves down and stay there. Bring your hands underneath your forehead. Little bit of pubic bone pressure. hover your left leg and then hover your right leg and change, and just little scissor kicks going from left to right. So just kicking one leg, then the other leg. Your focus will be on your pubic bone, trying to keep the same amount of pressure through the pubic bone as you lift and lower your legs. And in standing, we're just going from one side to the other. See if you can engage your bottom muscles. And your focus will be keeping the distance between your pubic bone and your belly button the same. So we're not getting too much work into the low back. When you're ready for rest, just lower the legs and pause. Bring your arms by your sides again. Lift your head, neck and chest. Fingertips together and turn the palms up and down. Squeezing, little squeeze of your shoulder blades together. And turn the palms up and down as fast as you can. So your fingers are together and you just rotate up and down the palms up. And turn the palms up and down as fast as you can. Sorry, somebody's joining in. Palms up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. We want to feel the backs of the arms working. So make sure that rotation is coming from the tops of the arms. Lengthen the back of your neck, chin in. Lovely. And when you are ready, sit back into your shell stretch. Knees wide, and then extend your arms over your head. Okay, so come onto your side. Bring your elbow underneath your shoulder. Your heels are in line with your bottom. Push the floor away. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, see if you can bring your top arm up and over and lift your hips. Inhaling down. Exhale, coming up and over. Inhaling down. If you're in standing, come into sitting on your chair. Take one leg out to the side, so you're sitting in your chair. Bring your hands to your forehead and then lean away from your extended leg. So you're working your obliques. So just imagine my bottoms on a chair here. Shoulder blades down. So extend one leg out to the side and you should feel your waist muscles in the same way that in lying you should be feeling your waist muscles. Quite hard on your shoulders, I appreciate that, and usually it's the shoulders that's the limiting factor with this exercise. So do as many as you feel happy to do. 3 or 4 is great if you can manage up to 6 or 8. Lovely, more needed than that. So we're going to slide your underneath arm away from you. Make sure your underneath waist is lifted. And then we're going to come and lift and lower the top leg into planks. Keep the core engaged. Okay, so if we're in standing, bring your calf and your arch of your foot together and opening and closing your knee there. Now, if you want to pause in your plan, if you're lying down, hold your knee lifted and just check that you can feel the back of the pelvis, providing that lift. If you can't, just take your top hip just forward very slightly. Make sure your underneath waist is lifted. And then carry on and see if that just recruits those top glutes anymore. Okay. All right. So give those bottom muscles a little shake. When you're ready, come onto your other side. So your elbows underneath your shoulders. Your feet are in line with your bottom. Push the floor away. And you're coming up and over into your side bend. Reaching your top arm over your head if you wish, or you can keep your top hand just on your hip. If you're in sitting, extend your other leg out to the side, hands to your forehead, and then reach away from your extended leg. So you're coming back into this position. So my bottom would be on a chair. Lovely. So think about how many, if you can remember how many you did on the other side, and try and do a similar amount. You might find one side's a bit stronger than the other, so over the holidays you might want to just do a few extra on the other side, just to try and equal things up. Extend your underneath arm. Make sure your core's engaged, underneath waist lifted, coming back into standing for clams. If you are staying up, and opening that top knee as high as you can. Feeling that work in your buttocks. So you might need to drop your top hip forward a little bit. Check your underneath waist is lifted. You're keeping your torso nice and still. So, give that bottom a little smack. Hopefully it's worked nicely. Okay, so coming on to your hands and knees. So bring your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Taking your weight into your right knee and left hand, slide your left leg away and see if you can just hover your right hand. And then just bring that knee and the hand back. Reach the left arm and right leg away. Keep the shoulders down away from your ears. And just in your own time, going from one side to the other. So we can do this when it's standing. Just hinge forward from the hips. So you're in a slight leaning forward, but keep the chest forward. Reach the fingertips, or you can hold onto your chair. And then you can reach one leg back, hover the arm, and then change. So if you want to do this when it's standing, absolutely. Yes, sorry, I forgot about that. Yes, so you're working the same muscles. You're thinking as you float your right arm, you're thinking about drawing your right shoulder blade down. And this is the same if you're on all fours as well. And then when you lift the opposite left leg, you're thinking about the right shoulder blade guiding down towards and meeting your left glute. So you're thinking about a diagonal line of muscles working. And then your left shoulder blade glides down to meet your right glute. Go from one side to the other. Good. And then have a little rest back into your shell stretch. Okay, so coming back onto your back, lift your hips and place your ball underneath your pelvis again. You're going to bring one leg into tabletop and then the other leg into tabletop. Bring the knees wide towards your shoulders. Take a breath in, and then as you exhale, reach your legs as far forward as you feel happy to. They don't have to fully straighten, just extend them forward enough for you to feel a little bit of work in your tummy muscles. If you can extend them away on the diagonal, lower them very slightly, so that'll get you a little bit more work in your abs. If you can extend the legs fully, see if you can find the work in your thigh muscles as you send those legs away. Squeeze the heels together as well, and that'll get you a little bit of work into your inner thighs. Hands on your hips and standing, feet hip distance. We're just going to do a little hinge forward. Keep the chest coming forward, shoulder blades down. So feeling the work into your hamstrings and your bottom muscles, keeping your core engaged. Okay, staying on the ball, hug your knees in towards your chest. And then bring the legs back to tabletop. Lower the toes on the left and then change to the right. So coming into our toe taps. So make sure you're breathing. And make sure the ball's high enough up your back that you're feeling some work coming into your tummy muscles. Try not to flick your heels towards your bottom. Keep your knees at 90 degrees and tap and tap and tap. So in standing, you could do some marching on the spot to get those hips moving, making sure your core's engaged. If you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, bring your legs back to double tabletop. Squeeze your heels together, take a breath in, and as you exhale, lower your toes towards the floor. Inhale, coming back. Only allow those toes to lower as long as you feel no pain in your low back or strain. And just feeling a little bit of work into those abs. So you can either continue with the singles or have a go with doubles. In standing, try and lift both knees at the same time. Only joking. Okay, so in standing, we can reach one leg back and then come up. Try and keep the spine nice and straight. Oh, lost my balance there. When you are ready to have a little rest, if you're on the ball, just tuck your knees in towards your chest. Lovely, okay, so place your feet down one at a time. All right, we're going to make our way back up into standing. Okay, so have your feet wide. Turn the feet out slightly. Bring your hands to your chest, into either, you can do prayer hands or just interlace your fingers. Just check when you bend your knees that your knees are traveling in line with your feet. Hinge your hips back. So we're getting a little fold at the hips. Chest is traveling forward towards your hands, shoulder blades together. As your knees warm up, press your knees out behind you to the wall behind you. So you may find a little inner thigh stretch. Try and start to go a little bit deeper if it feels comfortable for you. This is a nice position to practice that pelvic floor lift. Testicles to spectacles for gentlemen. So try and send those knees wide. Get that inner thigh stretch. And we're going to come down and just hold and just do a few little pulses. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. They're hurting your knees a bit. Let's just heel toe walk your feet back in. Bring your hands to your hips. Hinge forward at the hip joints. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and bring the chest forward very slightly. Take your weight into your left leg. Have your feet narrow. That's it. Have your weight into your left leg and see if you're happy just to take the weight out of your right leg and tap your toes back and forward. Back and forward. So the work is coming into your standing leg, whichever leg you're standing on, the one that's staying still. So focus on that leg. See if you can keep that knee very slightly bent. You don't need to bend it too much. And then come forward at the hips, but the chest forward, so the spine's not rounding, it's staying nice and straight. So press strongly into the floor with that standing leg to really work all these thigh muscles and bottom muscles. When you're ready, come up, give that leg a little shake, and then we'll do the same on the other side. So bend the knees, hinge forward at the hips, take the weight into your right leg now, and tapping forwards and backwards. Squeeze the shoulder blades together behind you. Feel a little bit of work into that standing leg again, the thigh and the glutes. Okay, come up. Let's give those hips a little wiggle if it comes into the back at all. We are strengthening the back muscles, and then back the other way. Okay, so we're going to come onto our front again. When you come onto your front, just check your feet are in parallel, your legs are in parallel behind you. This time, bring your arms into an L shape either side of your head. Your forehead down on the mat. Roll your shoulder blades up, back and down, and keep your shoulder blades drawing down towards your pelvis. Little bit of pressure into your pelvis, into your pubic bone. You're going to take a breath in, and as you exhale, lift your head, neck, and chest, but keep the hands down to start with. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Keep the back of the neck long and lower. If that feels okay, have a go at hovering the hands as well. Try not to lose the same amount of pressure into your pubic bone. So coming up into standing, if you're in standing, draw your shoulder blades down, squeeze your shoulder blades together and lift the chest up towards the ceiling. So as you open those arms, see if you can find a bit of a stretch through your chest. As you hover, if you're on the floor, check the length of your neck stays the same. So the distance between your ears and your shoulders stay the same as you open the chest and hover. Have a little rest there. Perhaps give your hips a little wiggle. What can be quite nice for the back in this position is to bend your knees and then just gently drop your knees left to right like windscreen wipers. And that can be quite nice to loosen off the back. Okay, so extend your legs again, bring your arms back into this L shape. So we're going to do a lower version first. You're going to lift your head, neck and chest. You're going to keep your hands on the floor and slide them above your head, and then draw your elbows back towards your waist and lower. Lift, slide your hands forward, draw them back and lower. Now that might be enough for you today. If you can, hover your upper body and your arms, reach the arms, keeping them off the floor, and then lower. So the same movement, either with your hands down or your hands off the floor. So having the hands off the floor is obviously just adding a little bit more intensity. So lift your head, neck and chest in standing, reach your arms above your head, draw them down and release. Lift the chest, press the backs of the arms to the wall behind you, stretch above your head, down and release. All right, anytime you need to have a rest, come back into your shell stretch. Okay, so let's come back onto our tummy. onto your forearms and have your legs extending out behind you. Push the floor away with your upper body and draw the chin in. And then see if you can lift your low tummy and your hips to the ceiling. And see if you can just hold there and have a breather. When you're ready to come back down, just come back down. When you come up, think about drawing your pubic bone towards your belly button at the front. So you're flattening and lengthening your low back. Try not to overarch your upper back. In standing, come to a wall, put your forearms on the wall and walk your feet back and bring your hips forward. It gives you a little bit of a calf stretch as well. You'll also be getting a little bit of work into those tummy muscles. And then you can send your hips back to release. And then bring your hips forward to hold. And again, keep that pubic bone to hip, pubic bone to belly button connection. If you're happy in your half elbow plank, very welcome to stay there. Otherwise, you can tuck your toes under and lift into a full elbow plank. And then from here, we can have a go at dropping your right hip, dropping your left hip. So you're drawing an arc with your pelvis and feeling your waist muscles working. We can do that on the mat as well, if you wish. So you're just drawing a little range of movement. It's quite good for what people call the muffin tops. That's quite good for your waist muscles there. You're leaning against the wall. Again, you can drop your hip from side to side. It just brings in a little bit of work into these waist muscles. Try that one. Yeah. Back a little bit more. Side to side. Keep your knees straight. Just let the pelvis move. That's it. And then up and over to the other side. All right, sit back into a shell stretch when you're ready. Okay. Come down onto your sides. If you've got your ball handy, just pop your ball underneath your head just to rest, like a little pillow. Bend your knees and bring your knees up and then extend your hands forward. So you're going to reach your top hand up to the ceiling and then open your chest, allowing your top arm to drop back behind you and then inhale back. And then exhale as you open. Find that nice rotation in your thoracic spine. Inhale to come back. If you come and sit on your chair or in standing, it doesn't matter. Same position, start with your arms forward. Sitting just fixes your pelvis, so it can be a bit more effective in sitting. Again, we just open one arm and then close. So just stay with the same arm opening. So start with the fingertips reaching forward, keep the shoulders down away from your ears. In lying, this can be a little bit stronger. Be careful if you've got any hip replacements. If you've got a hip replacement on your top leg, you probably won't do this. But you can straighten your bottom leg and just allow your top leg to sit on the floor. You can always prop yourself up with some blocks. But straightening the bottom leg can just make it a little bit stronger for you. And that makes a difference.
Yes, that's nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? Okay, one more. Lovely. Let's keep the underneath knee bent and straighten your top leg. You can keep your head on the ball if you wish. Just check on your shoulder and your underneath hips lifted. So drawing your top hip down away from you. Or you can bring your arm back underneath you here. Hover your top leg. You're going to point forward, flex the toes and kick back. When you kick forward, see if you can feel your tummy muscles working. When you kick back, you want to feel your bottom muscles working. And then the side of your bottom is working to keep your leg lifted away from the floor. So you'll feel it possibly around here as you're lifting. But try and keep your knees straight. And try and keep the tummy muscles, the pelvis, nice and still.
Such a small movement.
Such a small movement, but quite effective to work your abs. So in standing, we can do the same exercise. If you want to come onto a block, if you've got one, you don't have to, but what it does is just clears the floor as you point and flex, so you don't catch your toes. And you can always hold on to a chair or the wall if you need to. So doing the same exercise, but just in a different position. So engage your core. And when that bottom's ready for a little rest, just give that bottom a little smack. Okay, let's go to the other side when we're ready. So in your chair, come back and sit. Onto your other side, you can again, you can use your ball as a pillow. Bring your knees up so they're in line with your hips. A bit more, so it's different position to clams. Bring your knees higher, Anita. Higher, higher, higher. In there, bring your feet forward. Now you're sitting in a chair. That's it. Hands together in front of you. Open your top hand to the ceiling and allow your chest to see whatever picture or writing may be on the front of your t-shirt. Or imagine you've got a picture on your t-shirt and you're showing the ceiling what it is. So you exhale to open, inhale to close. Then again, sitting or standing, your hands are forward, and this time you're opening the other arm. So think about the chest opening rather than it being just a shoulder stretch. Nothing wrong with it being a shoulder stretch, but know what you're doing. So if you are wanting to stretch your shoulder, just let your arm hang a little bit, and it can be a nice neck stretch. But I would like you to try now at this moment to try and get some movement in your thoracic spine. And again, if you want to try it with your underneath leg straight, your top leg on the mat. So we can actually, oh, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
Or tell you ladies with your hip replacements, you're just so flexible these days. Just be cautious if you have had a hip replacement, because you're not really supposed to allow this knee to drop in too much. Okay, so let's straighten that top leg now. Either keep your head on the ball or extend your underneath arm. Check your underneath waist is lifted. Hover your top leg, pointing and flexing the foot. So we want this movement to come from your hip joint. And then in standing, stand on your block and do the other leg. Same movement, forwards and backwards. Try and keep the legs strong and straight. See if you can feel your thigh muscles working. Well done. So nice range of movement in the hips, as well as a little bit of core strength, a bit of glute strength. And then just give that top leg a rest, give that bottom a little smack. You're going to come onto your hands and knees. Tony, if you wish to, hold onto the back of your chair and reach your bottom back, so you're coming into a nice stretch throughout the back. Now, if you're happy to, come into a child's pose. Feet are together, knees are wide. Try and get your bottom back to your heels as much as you can, and then you reach your chest, your forehead, your arms above your head. So child's pose brings you into as much knee flexion as is available, and it's something you can work at if your knee flexion is a bit tight. It's also bringing you into hip flexion. It's also bringing you to upper back extension, and it's bringing you into shoulder extension as well. So it's a really good all-round little place to stretch and just get your breath back. Take your hands to the left. In standing, you could wiggle your hips left and right, perhaps. So you're stretching then through the side of the body. And then take your arms over to the right. And stretch down through the other side of the body. Come onto your front. Arms back in an L shape and just lift your head, neck and chest. And try and bring your shoulder blades down and the bottom of the rib cage forward, so you're coming into your upper back extension. So just tuck the elbows in, shoulders down, neck nice and long. In a chair, if you come and sit in the chair, bring your hands behind your head. And then see if you can just lean back over the chair, or if the back of the chair is too high, just shift away from the back of the chair and just lift your chest up to the ceiling. So you're doing the same sort of exercise. If you're on your front, think about getting the bottom of your ribs as far forward and away from your pelvis to stretch your tummy muscles, as well as getting this nice upper back extension stretch. If you can, reach round and grab your right foot and bring your heel to your bottom. If you've got your loop band, you can loop your band over and pull, or use a resistance band. You can always come onto your side to do it if it's too much lying on your front. Just apply a little bit of pubic bone pressure. In sitting, just take the leg behind you until you feel stretched through the front of that leg. That's it. And then release and do the other side. So you change before you do. Make sure you hold these stretches a good 20, 30, maybe even 40 seconds. You apply a little bit of pubic bone pressure as you lie on the mat. Just check your hips are level. You may get a little bit more of a stronger stretch. And then come on up. Let's lie on your back. Cross one leg over the other. Very welcome to put your feet up the wall if that's useful, or just hold on to the back of your thigh. And then in sitting, just trying to get that leg across and then leaning forward. It's called a figure of four stretch. You can do it lying on your back, on your front, doing a pigeon stretch. If you do it sitting, do it standing. I've got a new mosquito bite. Oh, that's so annoying.
They're vicious though, aren't they?
Aren't they?
Really horrid things.
So we're just trying to find a stretch in your buttock. Then put that foot down, change legs, bring the other leg across. Okay, so make sure the backs of both hips have had a good stretch. Please feel free to use your bands or resistance bands, or just take hold of the back of your leg with your hands. Come into a hamstring stretch. If in sitting, just extend one leg forward. and just lean into it. So you're feeling a stretch down the back of your thigh. Alternatively, you can come into standing and put your foot on the chair and lean forward. If you are using a loop band or resistance band, just come and check in on your head, neck and chest. Make sure you've got length in the back of your neck. Shoulder blades down. Try and get the forehead and the chin parallel. Let's change legs. Okay, so releasing the legs. We're going to come into a hip flexor stretch. So you can come onto your hands and knees or into standing. Step 1 foot forward. Tuck your hips under, whether you're standing or kneeling. Try and find that posterior tilt of your pelvis. Lift the chest. And see if you can find a stretch into the leg that's the front of the hip of the leg that's behind. Check your hips are parallel. So if you've done doing this in standing, you tend to draw your hip back. So make sure both hips are equal. Lovely. Use the wall if you need to. Make sure your chest is lifting up towards the ceiling, your shoulder blades are back and down, chin drawing in.
I can feel under my calf muscle.
And you might, yeah, in standing, you might get a calf muscle to stretch as well.
An extra bonus.
Extra bonus, absolutely. Let's change legs. So either step the other leg forward, tuck the hips under, perhaps find a little lunge. And standing again, tuck the hips under. You can encourage your heel down on that back leg to get a calf stretch as well. But make sure you, first of all, you can feel it in those hip flexors. And then find a little lift through the chest. So if you're on your knees, make your way up into standing. If you need a band for your shoulder stretching, take one hand down and just see if you can take hold of it with the other hand, and then just walk your fingertips towards each other. If you can, grip and try and find that nice grip for your fingertips. Now, if you find it's the reaching of the hand down, what we can do is take hold of a towel or a band and just pull down using your hand that's behind you to help increase the stretch here. If it's more the reaching the hand up behind you, you can do the opposite. So using the band, you can then use this top hand to pull your other hand up between shoulder blades. It shouldn't be grimacing though.
That side.
But keep your shoulder blade rolled back and down. So if you notice or you can feel the inner border of your shoulder blades totally lifted away from your rib cage and coming forward, then just draw that back and down. Okay, and change sides. Always one side easier than the other. Release, reach your fingertips down, just take a little ear to shoulder stretch. Find a stretch in the sides of the neck, just the neck. So bring your, and keep your shoulders still. parallel. Come up and over. Take a nice breath in, float the arms up. Exhaling down. Inhale up. One more. Lovely. Well done, everyone. Super. Thank you for joining me.